So a lessor's risk, by definition, provides coverage for a building owner. So that's the person who actually owns the building, and they have a tenant in the building who's the one occupying the building. So I get a lot of people who get confused on this. Say a person owns a building in their individual name. We'll use my name, for example. So I own a building named in my name, Michelle Belden. But I have my own business that works there. That's ABC LLC. Those are two separate entities. Even though the same person owns the building and the LLC, they're still considered two separate entities. So we have to differentiate who's the building owner from who is the tenant. So if the tenant also owns the building, then it's all just whoever that business is. But if it's the individual owns the building and their business is the tenant, you have an LRO situation where you wouldn't be putting the property coverage on the tenant's policy because they're not the building owner. So that's a thing I get a lot on my submissions, things like that. People get kind of confused. They're like, but they're owned by the same person, which is totally fine. But you as a person can own 7 different corporations. Not each one is the same entity. So that's where you have to be able to differentiate. You have to draw the line. Who is the building owner versus who is the tenant? So again, the LRO is providing building coverage, GL coverage for the landlord, not for their tenants. All right, and then some different types of LROs, buildings that I wanted to point out. So you have your professional buildings. You'll generally see those as like medical offices, professional offices that have like lawyers or consultants, things like that in those types of buildings. Your commercial buildings could be light manufacturing warehouses, businesses that have garages in it, things that are a little more not so retail type things, like a retail strip mall as I have here, where you would see like your mercantile businesses and restaurants and things like that. And then a mixed use building, I have different definitions of this I hear from some of my agents. So I'll give you guys my definition of a mixed use building. Mixed use building to me means there is both a commercial and a residential occupancy in the building. So generally speaking, you might see a commercial tenant like a restaurant or a couple offices on the bottom. And then on top, maybe there's 2 or 3 floors above, and those are all apartment units. So to me, that is what I consider to be a mixed use building, meaning there's both commercial and residential in the building. And then our next couple slides are just going to be some pictures of these buildings, just to give you guys an idea. Nothing that this says this is what it has to look like, but just to give you some thoughts about when you're looking at it to kind of get a consideration for that. I do also want to say about, I'm going to go back to the last slide real quick. Under the commercial building one, if your insured is part of a commercial condo association where they're only responsible for insuring the inside of their unit because the condo association insures the structure itself, we can provide coverage for those types of LRO risks. We will provide the interior coverage. Some carriers call it building coverage. Some carriers call it tenants improvements and betterments. Others call it BPP. However the carrier classifies it, if you have a risk like that, that is something we do have the ability to write. And again, just, showing you kind of a breakdown of the buildings here.